Hey guys, it's Isabel, and today we are spilling the tea on Cutco marketing. Tea. This cup is empty, but it's to prove a point that we're spilling the tea today. So just keep on watching to see the tea about Cutco. So here's the tea about Cutco. So let's backtrack to when the coronavirus got really real and school went out. So there's this girl in my Spanish class, and she DM'd me saying that her boss or her manager was hiring and that the job was all online and all these awesome things, and that she thought that I might be interested. So I told her I was interested. And so then her manager called me and said that they had set up an interview for me. And so I was like, okay, great, an interview, you know? And so get to the interview, it's on a Zoom call. I thought it was just gonna be me and the manager. Cut to the Zoom call, and there are like 20 other kids on the Zoom call. And so I'm like, okay, but how is this an interview if you're not doing it one-on-one? So we go to the Zoom call. I'm like, oh, okay, this is new. It's different. It's fine. I'm a junior in high school, by the way, so you can see their audience, because everybody on the Zoom call was probably in high school or college. And so basically they told us about how they had 2 different ways to pay you and all this stuff, and it's so awesome and it's so easy. And so then he's like, oh, fill out this Google document about yourself and all these things and blah, blah, blah. And we will call you and talk to you more one-on-one. And so we did that, and I got the call, and we were talking about, the funny thing is, I don't even think he read what I wrote on the document, because he asked me the same thing that was on the document. Anyways, we're talking about all these things, like stuff that I love to do, like volunteering at the Humane Society, and how I love shelters and stuff, and he did too. And so then he said that he liked my attitude and thought I would be great for the company. So I accepted the job, all good. Then the training was a couple weeks later. So here's the thing. The training for this company, not only is it unpaid, it's 8 hours long, 2 days in a row. And you get 10-minute breaks, like 1 10-minute break. It's ridiculous. So, cut to training. Half the time, I'm gonna be honest with you, I was kind of on my phone because I was just like, nah. I have ADHD, so for me, it's hard to sit down for that long. Even when I've taken my ADD medicine, I cannot sit for that long. Even as a high school student or a college student, you cannot sit in a lecture about the same thing for 8 hours, 2 days in a row. Nobody does that. So I was taking good notes, because he said the people who do the best take good notes and all this stuff. So I'm taking these great notes and all this stuff. And then at the end, we have to call people to get demos. And that's where we present the product to them and all this stuff. So I was trying to call all the people I could, but not everybody answers. But you had to get 5 demos before you could leave the Zoom call. So, I worked until the time ran out, and so then I had only gotten like 3 demos, and I was like, okay, it's fine. So then, next day, same thing. I mean, like, they talk about how easy it is to sell the product and all these things, and I'll get to that later, but they make it sound so much easier than it actually is. Like, it's not easy, but we'll get to that more later. But so Next day of training. The first day I was late to training because I had to take one of my animals to the vet, and the guy said it was fine. So I was late, so I didn't have to spend the whole 8 hours, but geez Louise, the next day it felt like I was never going to get out of that training thing. It was awful. Like, I hated it. And I thought that normally training was unpaid, but I didn't know that training was usually paid. And so it kind of sucked that I didn't really know that most training was paid. So I thought, oh, okay, it's not paid, it's just training. Nah, that's 16 hours of unpaid training. Not only do you not get paid by the hour, this is how you get paid at Cutco. You get paid $15 per appointment. They say, oh, it doesn't matter if you sell because you're getting paid anyway per appointment. But it does matter, and we'll talk about that later. So, cut to the end of the next training session, and everybody's doing what we call phone jam again. So I got up to 10 appointments. The thing is, Cutco is very specific with their audience that they want us talking to. They have to be 30 to 65. They have to be married. They have to be a homeowner. So they didn't want me talking to my boyfriend's divorced dad or my boyfriend about it just because I thought that it'd be fun to talk to him about it. It was a specific marketplace. I couldn't talk to my grandma about it. So sometimes I just said it was my aunt, honestly, because my grandma, I wanted to talk to her about it. And so that's a little bit annoying when you can't talk to half of your family because they are not in that range, or half the people that you know. And some people, they would tell us, oh, if they can afford a house, then they can afford knives. How much do things cost in houses? Furniture costs thousands of dollars and blah, 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 blah. So they can afford it. They just are telling you that they can't afford it because that seems like the nice thing to say instead of they don't want it. Some people are barely have enough money to know where their next meal comes from. Some people barely have enough money to keep their house. So no, they can't afford it. Yeah, that just I was gullible and I thought, oh yeah, that makes sense, But then my boyfriend telling me that's not true. Some people just can't afford it. Your boss sounds like a butthole, but not a butthole. He said it in a cruder way. But anyways, yeah. So then I got 10 or so demos. And so my first demo was with my boyfriend's dad. And we couldn't get the website to work. We finally did. But he said that he would get some maybe after he sold his next house. And so I was like, oh, okay. And I told my boss that, and he's like, he doesn't need to sell another house. He can afford it now. He just doesn't want to. I'm like, okay. Are you saying that I'm a bad salesperson? Next day, I did a demo with my mom and dad. They bought something, obviously, because they're my parents, but they also wanted some. And so then my next 4 demos, I didn't sell anything at all. A lot of people were like, I'll think about it, or we'll buy something, just not right now, and then just didn't end up buying anything. And then one of my cousins, she's my second cousin, bought some. She brought one of the really big knife sets, but that was only my first week, and I didn't do a lot of demos. So we do a fast start program, or they do, where if you sell a certain amount, there are levels. So you sell a certain amount, and the highest level is 20,000, and you get a trip. Like, there are all these things. You get free stuff, you get free money, you get a trip in a limo with a bunch of other kids that got to the same level. You get to go on a trip. This year it was Cancun, Mexico. Yeah. So they said also that if you recruited 8 friends and they worked for them throughout the summer, and they did a great job, then you could get the trip. So I tried to recruit as many of my friends as I could. And yeah. They said to send this heads up message to the people that you thought would work really hard, and not to answer no matter what they said. Heads up saying, "Oh, I sent your number to my manager of my job, and they'll be contacting you, just a heads up." And then a bunch of people said, "Oh, I already have a job," or "I'm not looking for a job," or all these things, and they just said not to pay attention to them. So I didn't. And a couple of my friends got interviews and did the training, but it was my first week, and I sucked. It was awful. For me, it was so depressing, and I had depression and anxiety, and it was awful because I felt like I was being a failure because I had only sold to 2 people, but at that point, I had actually only sold to 1 person. I thought I was a failure, and I was crying and sobbing about it, and I just, hated myself because we were on this group chat where everybody would post what they had sold, and, they're like, "Oh, sold my first signature set, which is the biggest set, and all these people were selling all these things, and I wasn't." And I didn't understand why, because I was doing exactly what they told me to do. But you had to be super excited about the product to sell it. And, oh, you're not selling the product. You're selling your belief. Cutco is selling itself. No. So, during that week, I got a text from my manager telling me to stop doing demos because I wasn't seeing the same results as everybody else. So he told me to stop doing them and wait till advanced training. Cut to advanced training, did advanced training, it didn't help at all. Still doing the same. And honestly, at that point, I didn't even want to do demos anymore. I hated it, and I didn't want to do them. And so I started hating the company, and it just made me feel so bad about myself, especially because my boss told me I wasn't seeing the same results as everybody else. The thing was, I said, "So you're saying that I'm bad at it?" And he said, "Oh no, results versus no results doesn't mean you're bad." In whose world? Who? Please tell me. Anyways, so I waited till advanced training, and I had an issue because they told us that we only had to call before the first demo of the day and after the last demo of the day. But then they switched it up and told us that we had to do it before and after every demo, and I had a hard time remembering that because, again, the ADHD, and I have so many things to juggle at home with all the animals. Like, you guys have seen all my animals, and he had already told us something different, so I was having trouble remembering it. I was just like, "Oh, my demo. I need to be in time for my demo." I didn't really think about calling my boss. I thought that he'd just know because we were using Q, where they track when you have an appointment and who you have an appointment with. And so apparently we had to do that. And so I told him, "Oh, I forgot to do this before. I'm sorry." And he's like, "Yeah, you need to stop doing demos because we're having communication issues. We need to know what's going on. If you don't call us, we don't know what's going on." And so I was like, "Okay, but what about the one I'm doing now?" They want to buy, and they're like, "Well, you could just put it in and then stop doing them." So I did. And that one was actually my last demo. I didn't set up any more because I was lazy. I'm a lazy person. And I just didn't want to do any more. And so I didn't. And then my boss texts me saying that that there was another job at the company with the social media people and that I might like the job. Oh, but it only pays $11 an hour. But Cutco, if you're a salesperson, you get either $15 per appointment or you get commission. Whichever one is higher, that's what you get. So I'm like, $11 an hour. My mom pays me $10 an hour for my chores. Really? Like, I could get that at home. I said, I could get that at home for my mother, but I guess I'll give it a shot. I said, is this because I'm not doing well? And they said, well, yeah, you're not seeing average results. We can't have somebody working the job that's not seeing average results. I'm like, but you literally said that it doesn't matter if you sell something because you're still going to get paid. Well, obviously it does. And actually, my aunt worked there before and said that she didn't sell anything. She worked there when she was in college. She said she didn't sell anything. I didn't understand how all these people are selling stuff, but yeah. I was honestly wanting to quit because I hated the job so much. It made me so upset. I just felt so awful about myself, and I already have low self-esteem, so that really did not help. And so, yeah. Now you can see how Cutco is a MLM, multi-level marketing company. My friend texted me the other day saying that it was a scam, and I'm like, how could it be a scam? I worked there. And she's like, it's an MLM. And I'm like, what's an MLM? And they're like, it's a pyramid scheme, but legal. I'm like, that makes sense, because they kept asking us to recruit people and recruit people and recruit people, and that was a big part about it, because they said if every person you recruit, they'll give you an $1,000 bonus towards your fast start goal. So, yeah, my first paycheck rolls in. I got $145. They said they pay me for the next thing, but haven't gotten that paycheck yet. They said they pay me for everything that I did. I haven't gotten that paycheck. It's been a week or so. And also, I asked my boss, we'll call him Luciano. I don't know why. That popped up in my head. But Luciano, I kept texting him and saying, oh, when can I, just let me know when I could start and stuff. And he said that there's training first. And I was like, oh, well, let me know when I could start. And he said, okay, I will. A week later, he didn't text me. So I said, just let me know when I could start. And he said, I'll let you know. It's been like 2 or 3 weeks. So let's just say I'm looking for a different job now. I don't even want to sell knives. I just did it because it was all online. I thought it'd be easy. It's not easy. If you get reeled in by one of your friends to Cutco, do not work there. It is so awful. They have a target market of college and high school students because they think they're more gullible. But if you watch this video, you'll know. Don't go to Cutco. Hey guys, it's Isabel. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. And that is all the tea that I have about Cutco. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.